Welcome back to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Your host, Tomas Keenan, coming at you guys today from the home office. Got a solo episode here. Flying solo, my friends. No guests, no nothing there. So I'm going to come in, give you guys an update. Some of the new things going on, some things that are about to pop off, some of the things that, some of the events and stuff that are coming up too that I'll be speaking at, which is pretty cool. So haven't done a solo in a while. I think the last time was a couple weeks ago. Made a transition. We had a house in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, and kind of wrapped up things there and moved everything out and finally got everything from that house here to the Dallas, Texas house, the North Dallas house. So kind of closed out a chapter there, which was good. Kind of got some resources and more money kind of just pushed back into this house. And if anyone here has multiple homes or has had multiple homes in the past, you guys totally understand where I'm coming from with resources and money going to a house that you're not really utilizing as much as you probably should. And, it was time for us to make a decision to kind of close the chapter on that house and focus everything here in North Dallas, because this is home and this is going to be home for the foreseeable future. And I'm okay with that. With that being said, got to bring the kids for a good solid 2 weeks out to Utah and really give them a good experience, especially my kids. For those of you who've been following me, I've got a total of 7 kids right now, which is awesome. And 3 of them are biologically my kids. The other 4 are my significant other, my spouse, my woman, my person, the wonderful Catherine Tague. They're her 4 kids from a previous relationship. And I love all 4 of them dearly. I truly do. And I know for a fact that she totally and truly cares for my kids at a very, very deep level. And it's not often that you find that, especially when you take 2 people who've gone from previous relationships, having kids with others, and then you meld this thing together. I joke around, I call it a just add water family, because we both went from having a good amount of kids to holy shit, we've got a lot of kids. And I got to tell you, man, some of the looks we get from people, like when we tell them we got 7 kids, it's so funny because I'm going on a tangent here, but I think it's kind of funny. We'll talk about it. The first time we had all the kids together was last August here in Dallas, and we went out to Panera Bread for lunch. And by the way, a Panera Bread visit with 7 kids and 2 adults, you're not getting out of there for under about 160 to 180 bucks. So we go there, we order a whole bunch of food. The kids are sitting down, and there's this guy standing at the counter kind of waiting for the food to get done so we can go to his table. And he's looking at me and he goes, "Are they all yours?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, God bless." He goes, "That's a lot of kids. It's a lot of mouths to feed." And I was like, "Yeah, it sure is." And he had that look like, "Man, you guys are crazy." And then we go to Utah. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Utah, it's a very Mormon state, and the Mormons believe in producing a lot of children. So when we tell people there, when they ask us, "Hey, are those kids over there yours? And how many do you have?" "Oh, we got 7 kids." "Oh, great job. Good for you." It's a completely different reaction depending upon, where we're at and whatnot. So anyway, got to bring the kids there, and we drove there and back, which is pretty cool. Hooked up some U-Haul trailers to my truck and Catherine's vehicle and dragged all that stuff back here. And, we had this house fully functional, fully set up, and it was lived in since November of last year, 2023. And we didn't really need anything here, but, you also don't realize some of the things that you were missing until you bring them back. And also the Utah house was fully furnished. We had everything you can think of to live and function as a family unit there. So bringing some of that stuff back here helped Catherine's kids kind of close a chapter on where they were living, but also make this place a bit more home for them. They had some of their stuff there, their supplies, some computer stuff, some video game stuff, some books, some, toys and whatnot that they weren't really, interacting with here since we've been here in Dallas full time since November last year. So I'm grateful that they were able to grab those things, come back here and make this place more of a home for them. But overall, the experience was just great. Just a long ass drive, but got to see the country, got to show the kids the country. And this isn't the first time we've done it. We actually did it back around Christmas of last year as well. But just really cool to explore and see things, but get to see the reactions on the kids' faces when they get to see something new. They get to learn something new for the first time. That to me is worth it. So I just thoroughly enjoy it. So let's switch gears here. Let's talk a little about business. Step It Up Academy. We're still cruising along, doing our thing. Decided to come here do a solo episode today for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't have anybody queued up this week for a recording. So I have a couple of guests lined up. And for those of you, anyone who's listening to this podcast who wants to be a guest on the show, dude, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, social media. Send me an email, Thomas, T-O-M-A-S, Thomas at stepitupacademy.com. I will send you the application, and you can just fill out the app. And then if you seem like you're a good fit for the show, I'd be more than happy to have you on and interview the crap out of you, and we'll have a good, thorough, open, authentic conversation. And if you're like, man, I don't think they're going to accept me, I'm telling you, like, just fill out the app, connect with us. You'd be surprised on some of the people who come through here. And what I found is a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome. They're like, I'm not at that level yet. I can't get on that podcast. I can't have that conversation. I'm not ready to talk face to face with Thomas. Stop lying to yourself. Stop the bullshit, man. Like, we're all humans. We all put our pants on the same way. For us males, we all kind of go to the bathroom the same way. So reach out, man. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. And who knows where that goes? Who knows where that leads, right? And the same thing applies with just having conversations with other human beings. So a couple things here have happened recently. I've been doing a lot of back-end work on the business, Step It Up Academy, a lot of marketing, website rebuilds, landing pages rebuilds, offers, like all that stuff is getting a revamp because I saw a shift in the marketplace. And in doing so, it's opened up a lot of conversations. And I've got a lot of people in my DMs, a lot of people in my email inbox who are like, hey, are you open to just having a conversation to learn more about each other and seeing where it goes? Yes, I absolutely am. Right? Because you never know where that conversation is going to go with that person. It's kind of the whole point there that I want to drive home to you. So if someone's willing to hop on a 15-minute Zoom or a phone call or a 30-minute Zoom and just shoot the shit, see what they got to offer, see what they're doing in their lives, see if there's some wisdom or some value that you can give them or in return they can give you. But if you show up to a call like that and you have absolutely zero expectations, right? If you show up to a call like that not wanting to close or sell that person, you'd be really amazed at some of the cool things that can come out from it. So go out there and try it, man. Give it a whirl. On the marketing side of things and in the business shift, here's what I'm seeing, folks, right? And I've had this conversation with a lot of my clients. I've had this conversation with some past clients who I still communicate with. Hey, man, I'm one of those people, by the way. I like to communicate and keep in touch with past clients. I'm not one of those who's like, well, fuck you. You're not paying me anymore. Therefore, you can't have a conversation with me, right? There's a lot of those douchebag guru assholes on the internet who will play that card with you. I unfortunately used to work for one. I'm not going to mention his name, but go ahead and do your research. Go do your history. Go do your search on me. If you know me long enough and you know where I came from and you know where I was in the coaching industry before Step It Up Academy, his name will pop up everywhere, right? And with my time there, I learned a lot of what to do to serve people, right? There's good that came out of that relationship too. I learned a lot of what not to do also, right? And some of the things that I learned of what not to do were things that I saw that were going on either in the public eye or behind the scenes that like, hey man, that does not align with me on a core value level. And it was only a matter of time before it imploded or exploded, whatever term you want to use there. And sure as shit, it did. So spend that time, have those conversations. But moving forward here, the marketplace right now is things are off. Number one, we got an election year going on right now. So that's always wonky. I don't care what the economy is doing. Every time there's an election year, it's like people get scared. Like they want to hoard their money. Hey, I don't know what's going to go on. I don't know what's going to happen in November. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never personally been impacted positively or negatively by the change of a president ever. And maybe I live in my own little bubble. I don't fucking know, but I've never been impacted by that whatsoever. I personally don't give a shit who sits in the seat because I think it's all bullshit anyway. It's all ploy. I think it's all really run by somebody or something else. And the person who sits in the seat is pretty much the figure, the figurine, the figurehead, the bobblehead. And that's some rabbit hole shit that we can go down pretty heavily. And maybe we can do that another time. But my point here is that people are scared. People are scared to spend money. And maybe some of you business owners who own businesses who provide products and services that are not mandatory, maybe you're feeling that right now too. I'll give you, for instance, a couple of industries that come off the top of my head that I can think of that are, in fact, struggling right now. Um, I see guys in the car stereo space struggling because what they sell and offer is not mandatory. It's a nice to have. Okay. I see this. I have a past client I had a conversation with last week. Ran himself into an issue or a problem with an employee. I hopped on a call with him and helped him out. He does custom, very high-end home audio, home theaters, security systems, cameras, and the security system and camera side of the business is doing pretty good. But the home audio side of the business, he told me he had the worst February of his career this past February. And this dude's been in business over 20 years. That's something to say right there, folks, right? Like, this is a guy who's got a very solid, established business with a really good high-end clientele, and he was hitting some struggles this past February, right? So if you're feeling this shit right now, just know that you're not alone. And, right, cliche quote right here, but this too shall pass. Trust me, it will, right? You just got to weather the storm is basically what it is, right? I'm all about cycles. And if we study anything, we study economics, we study fashion, we study music, we study trends. Everything's a freaking cycle. I even see cycles happen within my body. I see cycles with my sleep schedules and my sleep patterns. I see cycles with my bathroom patterns, right? And I'm not trying to be gross here or give too TMI, but I see cycles there too, right? Some days and some weeks and some months you go more frequently than others, right? So what are these cycles and patterns that are going to repeat, but they always continue to change and evolve, right? The cycle is like, it's like a circle. It's like a wheel, right? It's going to move to the next phase, the next step eventually. So just hold on tight, buckle down, weather the storm, and you will get through this, right? And it's kind of the mentality I've had. It hasn't been the easiest go over here at Step It Up Academy. We've had some difficulties with losing some clientele because clients' businesses are struggling or doing hard. And we're one of those businesses where, hey, when you're looking over the numbers with your accountant or your bookkeeper, and the first thing they're going to tell you is cut this coaching shit out because it's costing you thousands of dollars per month, and you can use that in this area of your business over here. And I totally get it, and I understand it. And I get clients, who've come to me in the past who are like, hey, like, I gotta pull the plug on this, or I gotta take a break, I gotta pause. And once again, I've seen others treat clients like dog shit when they say, hey, I can't afford this right now. I can no longer afford your services. I've got what I've got out of you and your organization, and I've got to move to something else. That's the evolution of the person too, right? And again, going into past organizations that I've been a part of and seeing how they handled it, it taught me exactly what not to do in those instances. And a lot of times, like we have a client who comes to us and they give us bad news. Hey, I'm no longer going to be doing business with you because of XYZ. I can't afford it. I can't, whatever, insert whatever excuse you want. The automatic reaction for us as a human being is to get angry. And if you guys dive deeper and you know anything about psychology, anger is a fear response. So you get angry, you show anger when you fear something. So my question to you, if you want to dig deep and do some work on yourself, AKA self-develop, self-improve, when something triggers you and makes you angry, what is the real root cause? And if we look back at it and we go dive deep, it's typically fear. And then we got to say, okay, well, all right. And now if you know that, hey, I'm angry, anger is a fear response. Now you have to start looking at, okay, in this situation, what scares me? What am I terrified of? And when you look at it in that manner, you can start to dive in, dig deep and say, okay, well, it scares me. I'm fearful of not having enough money to pay my employees' payroll. I'm fearful of not having enough money to pay myself. I'm fearful of not providing enough of money to bring into my household so I can basically support my kids and my family and so on and so forth. Those are all real things, by the way, people. Very real things to be scared of. And I get it. I totally get it, right? And I've had some of those fears myself in my life. But there's things that we can do to overcome them. Number one, we know that there's cycles, right? Be aware that this is a cycle and this too shall pass. That will help you. But what are you doing in the good times to prepare yourself for the bad times that we all know are coming because it's a fucking cycle? And this is where a lot of people fuck up and drop the ball. And I'm guilty as fuck as this myself, people, by the way. Okay. We have good times. We're making good money. Things are easier than ever before. The money's just rolling in. Things are going great. Are you putting enough of that aside? Are you paying down debt? Are you taking care of the things that you need to take care of? Are you being a responsible adult? Are you doing the right thing? This is also a time, right, to go back in and make sure if you've got extra cash flow coming in, work on the back end of the business. Shit, I think you should be working on the back end of the business even when you don't have extra cash flow, because it's that important, right? We always got to be evolving the back end of the business. The back end of the business is the real structure that holds everything together. It's the glue, right? So what do the systems and processes look like? What does the marketing look like? And if you want to dive into marketing, that's a rabbit hole in and of itself. Does the website look good? Is it updated? Is it current? Does it have current pictures on there? Is it our current offerings? Is it the current prices? Shit, do we even offer the stuff that's on the website any longer? How about the copywriting that's on the website? Is it actually coming out? Is it the voice of the owner or of the company? And I'm saying all this stuff because this is a lot of things that I've been working on over the last couple of months. Like I had to dive deep and look into things and say, hey, the lead flow kind of slowed down. The closing ratio kind of slowed down. Well, if you don't have the data and you don't have the tools and the systems and the software to tell you this information, how are you ever going to know? Right. And luckily I have that stuff in place because I've been doing the work for years. And took a real deep dive into the website that I currently had up and said, man, this is dog shit. Right. Like it served when it was built and, definitely had a place for clients to land and explore a little bit more and read up on us and learn a little bit more without having a conversation about me with me or someone on the team. But at the same point in time, it's not really conveying the message that I would convey if I was speaking face to face to somebody. All right. Well, that's a problem. So got to really diving in deep and rebuilding the site. And this is the first time in my business career that I opted to not outsource the website building. And you guys know me with time studies and knowing what our time is worth. Normally, I would say this is something you delegate, give that to the pros. And I've done that before. And the outcome, and this is a very personal decision for me. I've also got a lot of experience in the digital marketing realm. I understand the software that's required to operate and build marketing systems really well. I'm inside of them each and every day. So my level of understanding and my ability to build stuff in there may be a bit greater than the average business owner, right? Cool. I've also got a period where we've slowed down a bit. It's also summertime. Business is a little slower than normal. A lot of people are traveling. This gives me the ability to spend a little bit, it's giving me the bandwidth to spend a little extra time working on the backside of the business. All right, cool. Let's get to it. So got to it, started rebuilding the website, started rebuilding the offers, started rebuilding some of the products that we're offering. And I started changing a lot of those products and the offerings and the price points of them based upon the current economic climate that we're in. And that has a lot to do with this being an election. Can't talk. This has a lot to do with this being an election year. I was having a really good conversation with my buddy Mike Hardenbrook the other day, and he was telling me that he also has changed a lot of his pricings and his offerings for the things that he does. He's no longer asking $3,000, $4,000, and $5,000 for a monthly retainer to work with his clients. He's offering lower ticket one-off items. And I said, man, I laughed when I was talking to him. I was like, dude, it's the same thing that I just did. Yes, I still have those high ticket monthly retainers for the right people. But at the same point in time, we've tweaked a lot of the offers. We have, let me break it down for you. I'll break it down and explain to you guys what it was, right? So for the longest time, we had on-site assessments. We had small group coaching, one-to-one coaching, live events, speaking engagements, and stuff like that, okay? All different stuff that we use to generate income and get paid over here at Step It Up Academy. And did well with that for a really long time, right? And still have clients in all of those areas and still close deals on them on a weekly basis, okay? But it, like I said, needed a shift. So what's the shift going to be? Okay, you know what? Let's start offering some smaller one-to-one coaching calls on very specific topics. So for instance, I have a lot of people that have come in, and you guys have heard me talk about hiring 100 times if you listen to this podcast, but a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I need help hiring. Okay, cool. Well, how about a 90-minute one-to-one call with me so we can dial in your hiring systems, your hiring process? And this is the price point. How about a 60-minute call with me to go over it and like let's dial in your core values, or a 90-minute call, whatever it may be. Okay. These are the different smaller one-off consulting packages that we're putting together where we hop on a call and we don't just have the conversation, but we do the work while we're on the call too. Okay. So these are some of the shifts and some of the pivots that I've had to make in order to keep things operating and moving smoothly at Step It Up Academy. And I'm telling you guys this information too, because you've got to keep evolving. You got to keep changing. You have to keep up with what the marketplace is asking of you, not just because this is what we've always offered and this is what we're going to continue to offer. Because if you continue to operate that way, at some point in time, your business is going to fizzle out and go to complete dog shit, and you'll have nothing to show for it, right? You have to occasionally make updates and changes to your products and your offers, right? So there's a couple of things you can do here. Make changes, change your price points, reach out to past clients and see if they can utilize your services or your new services, right? If you have existing clients, how do you get them to buy from you more frequently? Right? These are all little things here that you can add, you can change, and basically what you're doing is you're increasing the frequency of transactions, which eventually will bring more money in. Okay. It's just a couple of little things that I've picked up on over the years that may help and assist you in your business and with what you got going on right now. All right. We're 20, almost 22 minutes into this, and I've just been rattling off the top of my head, just ranting over here. I do want to bring something to everyone's attention here before we hop off this podcast for today. I have partnered up and been working with Shop Monkey, and this is for my automotive people out there. If you're not in the automotive space, just turn the damn podcast off and see. Actually, you know what? That's not a good idea. Still listen, please. Because yes, this webinar that I got coming up with Shop Monkey is specifically for the automotive space. But what I'll tell you is this. We're going to be talking about, the name of the webinar is Smart Business Strategies. I'm going to be diving in deep and talking overall business strategies. So whether you're in the automotive space or not, these strategies still apply. However, this is a co-hosted webinar with Shop Monkey, and Shop Monkey is a software company that I've partnered up with, and they have a really badass system that is for automotive shop owners. So if you're in the car audio business, you're in the tint and wrap industry, you're in the anything automotive, auto repair, auto body, wheels and tires, like their software is badass and it will serve you and serve you well. So if you're interested in that, definitely come and join us. It's going to be August 21st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be an hour and a half long. You've got myself and you've got one of the senior business dev guys over at Shop Monkey who's going to come in there and demo the product. So this is going to be really good. A lot of actionable information. And like I said, even if you're not in the auto space, this is something that you can pull some stuff from. In the show notes, we're going to drop the URL, but I'll give it to you guys here as well. It's a little long, so bear with me. events.stepitupacademy.com/SBS-webinar. Sam Bravo Sam -webinar. So events.stepitupacademy.com/SBS-webinar. If you guys head over there, you will just basically click on save a spot and RSVP for it. Even if you can't make the live recording of the webinar, still RSVP, because the next day afterwards, I'm sending everyone who registered the video recording from the previous evening. So you'll have a copy of that. And that thing is, I'm not like sending it up on the internet for a day and then pulling it down. No, I'm sending it out to you and it's going to be there. It's going to be live until this whole internet thing just goes away. So with that being said, I hope to see you guys there. I hope to provide some more value, some more content. And for any of those of you right now who are struggling, who are going through some tough times, whether it's personally, business, or all of the above, just know that this is a cycle and this too shall pass. I appreciate all of you for tuning in, checking us out here at the 7 Up Entrepreneur Podcast. This, I think, is the 242nd or 243rd episode. I think it's 242nd. And we're 1 day away from August. So by the time this thing launches tomorrow, you're probably listening to this, and it's either going to be the last day of July or the first day of August. And August is the anniversary of this podcast. And this August is going to be 5 years that I've been recording these shows, which is just mind blowing. Never in a million years that I think I've been doing this for 5 fucking years. And, you know, this is one of those things where it's a long-term play. When you and if you guys have ever looked at the stats on podcasts, like most people quit after 3 to 5 episodes. And here I am, 242 episodes in, and I don't have a plan to stop at all. To me, it's just part of my weekly routine at this point. Show up, run my mouth for a little while, record a cool episode, have a good conversation with a guest, or come in here and do a solo like this, provide as much value as I can to you, the listeners. And in doing so, we've got this podcast ranked we fall in the top 1.5% podcast on all of the planet right now, which I think is pretty fucking cool, especially from a dude who grew up on Long Island who's working on cars. And now I run my mouth, I make some money running my mouth, and in running my mouth, I get to help people. And I think that's just awesome. So for those of you who are here checking us out, thank you so much. I really hope to see you guys over at the webinar. And do me a favor, right? I haven't asked for this in a really long time. Head over, whether you're on iTunes or whether you're on, not iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whether you're on Spotify, head over there and leave a review. We would love if you could leave a 5-star review for us here at Step It Up Academy. Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Those reviews really help, and they drive more traffic to the show. I would like to see us go from that top 1.5% of podcasts to the top 1%. That would be a game changer for us, because we would literally get in front of thousands of more people each and every episode. With that being said, have a great week, and I look forward to connecting with you later.
Thank you for tuning in to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Make sure you head over to stepitupentrepreneur.com and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast.